Hi! Welcome to another Scratch tutorial. So, last time we covered looks, went through all these purple blocks. Today we're going through motion, all the blue blocks at the top, and how to use them at the same time as the purple blocks, the looks. So, let's get started. Move 10 steps. Remember that you start your code with when the flag is clicked. When you move 10 steps, the character goes forward in whatever direction it's facing. And that ties in to turn 15 degrees. When it turns 15 degrees, it'll tilt down. So then when you move 10 steps, it'll move in the same direction. Turn back 15 degrees, makes it turn around the other way. And then it tilts up instead of tilting down. These two cancel each other out as long as they're set to the same thing. Just like in looks, you can change how many steps you go, make it 30 steps. Wow, it's moving a lot farther. Or you can turn 90 degrees instead of just 15. Now it's facing all the way down. Go to a random position, sends it somewhere completely random. Go to mouse pointer, has it just teleport to your mouse pointer, wherever it is. That can be useful later on when we get into sensing. That'll be next week. Go to a specific coordinate. Remember last video I explained that this exists on an XY coordinate. This background conveniently graphs where the X and Y's are. You can see that the middle is 0, 0, the top is 180, the bottom is negative 180. But that's for the Y. Remember that Y is up and down and X is side to side. If you make it go to 100, 100, 100X is 100 to the side, 100Y is 100 up. So if you want the character to go in the center, that would make it 0 for side to side and 0 for up and down. Therefore it would be in the exact center. Go to is especially useful if you're setting up a scene. Say you have a ballerina and a cat and you want them to be far apart. You can have the cat go to this position and the ballerina to her own position, because wherever you drag them is where go to automatically sets to. You drag the ballerina to the bottom, and notice that go-to has switched its coordinates, the X and Y positions, based on where you moved her. So this is very useful for setting up your scene. You don't need to go try to figure out where on the stage they are. It'll already tell you in the sidebar here. Glide to. If you want, for example, the cat to glide to the ballerina, we know that we want the cat to go to this position, but then end up here. Just like go to, the X and Y are set beforehand depending on where you drop your sprite. So if we look at this, it starts at a starting position and glides to its ending position. And glide to a random position works the same way, where it'll just head somewhere random. We don't know where it's walking. It's confused. Where is it going? Where is it going in life? No one knows. It's a random position. Glide 1 second to mouse pointer. The mouse pointer's here. To ballerina. We'll have the cat glide into the ballerina because these are presets. Go to goes the same way, where another sprite is one of the preset options. All of these are very important in motion. Point in direction 90. Remember that if you turn it, it's in relation to where you had it before. If it's currently pointing in 90, now it's 180. If it's at 180 and you turn it 15, it'll be 195. But this just sets its direction. If you want to point in 90, it will point in 90. If you want it to point in 0, it will point in 0. You don't need to turn it based on where it was before, it will just go straight there. If you have it point towards the mouse pointer, it will point to wherever it sees your mouse pointer is. If you have it point towards ballerina, it will go towards that sprite. This is all in relation of where they are to each other. If the cat now points in ballerina, it will point to the other direction. Where it points depends on where it is and where the ballerina is. Change X. This is also very important. Change X isn't move 10 steps, because even though it would be the same here, if say cat was turned, move 10 steps and make it go the direction it's turning, but change X only makes it go side to side and not just wherever it's headed. set X will just change where it is side to side. Doesn't matter how high up the cat is or how far down the cat is, will end up in the same place in its X sense, horizontally, side to side. In the exact same way, change Y only controls its up and down. No matter what way is pointed, it'll go up and down. Set Y in the exact same way, no matter where it is side to side. If you want it to be in the center, it will go down to the center without affecting the X at all. If on edge, bounce is useful for games like Pong, where things are bouncing off the walls. So say it'll just keep moving 10 steps until it hits the wall. Instead of just walking straight off, it will bounce off. Set rotation style. Okay, so left-right rotation style. It will not rotate except flipping the opposite direction. It can only turn 180 degrees. If you try to do anything other than 180 degrees, like 23 degrees, it won't move until it reaches 180. So we know 90 is half of 180. You click it once, it does nothing. Click it twice, and it'll turn. Once, twice. It won't move until it finally adds up to 180, because it can only turn left or right. Don't rotate, will just never rotate. Even if it is 180 degrees, no matter how many times you click it, it will not move, because the rotation styles don't rotate. Rotate all around. You can do 1 degree, and it will turn 1 degree. You can do 16, it will turn 16. There are no restrictions. It will just turn to whatever amount you want. That was motion, and that was pretty fast. Now, what can you do with motion? Why don't we pull in a fun sprite in background, a fortune cookie in a desert? Yes. And we want this fortune cookie, when flag is clicked, to move 10 steps forever. If we do that, fortune cookie will move, and will just go off the screen. We don't want to keep having to drag it back every time. So let's have the fortune cookie start at 0, 0, the center. That's still not very fun. You just see it pop into the center and float off screen until it stops. We could, if on edge bounce, and it will bounce back and forth like a crazy cookie. You could also do an if statement. If statements are called conditionals. There's if and if else. If something happens, then it will do something. See this little shape in here? This is in sensing. So, our very first sensing, we'll get more into it next week. If touching the edge, go to the other side. But make sure it's not touching the left edge, because whether it's the right edge or the left edge, it's still touching an edge. So you want to make sure it's not touching. Very, very important. So if touching edge is the constraint. You also need to make sure it's pointing in 90. Now you can see we have a flying fortune cookie, and because it's forever, it will never stop. Ever. This is your life now, fortune cookie. So again, this little blue part is our constraint. And this will be very important in math, larger ideas of computer science, if-thens. They'll stay with you. So now, what can we do now that we have these blue blocks and these purple blocks? Well, we also have when flag is clicked and special controls like wait. We can make a little skit. First, let's choose a place for our skit. We will be in a library. You know what's an awesome library I know of? The Sierra Madre Library. Yes, it is our favorite library. It is the best library. Let's just move our little sprite right here. So, what do we know about motion? If we want it to stay here, we can make sure of that by having it go to this exact position when flag is clicked. Let's have a character. I think our library should have a unicorn. Yes. And a librarian. And you notice that it says dragon instead of librarian, but I don't want that. So if you go up here to sprite, you can type in whatever you want. Librarian. And this librarian is ignoring the poor unicorn, and we don't want that. So, when the flag is clicked, we want it to go to where it is, but also point this way. Let's see what we do. Oh, That's not right. Let's set the rotation style to left-right. And then make it point in direction -90. Perfect. Now it's a little close. So let's change that. Perfect. Now our skit is all set up. What's going to happen? Let's go into looks. Let's click on the unicorn, because this is her script. And when flag is clicked, she'll go to her starting position and say, I want to read Harry Potter. And the librarian will say, okay, what is your Hogwarts house? But there's an issue here. They say it at the same time, and that is not how conversations go. So how do we fix this? If we go into orange control, we can have our little dragon wait. The unicorn is saying, I want to read Harry Potter for 2 seconds. So the librarian needs to wait for 2 seconds. Now it's a much more natural conversation. Because the librarian is talking for 2 seconds also, we will have the unicorn wait 2 seconds and go, Hufflepuff. That's my Hogwarts house. Go Hufflepuffs. But dialogue without any emotion is a little boring. So, let's have her turn dramatically this way. Up like she's leaping for the sky. Change into a unicorn who looks like she's up on her hind legs. This is not anatomically accurate for how she would stand. Let me try to fix this. It still doesn't look right, but better than nothing. This doesn't really show that she's a beautiful Hufflepuff though, so we can also make a couple personalizations. Now she's got a beautiful Hufflepuff scarf and is ready to look like a proper Hufflepuff. This is a little weird though. She is standing in her dramatic pose the entire time, and something went wrong with her hoof. Okay, when flag is clicked, we want her to start in the right costume. Unicorn. But this also doesn't look right. We want her pointing in the right direction too. Forwards. Towards our happy librarian. But now, she doesn't look like a Hufflepuff. What's missing? Hopefully you got it. It's switch costume. Perfect. And now, we are going to have our librarian help our wonderful unicorn find a good Harry Potter book, because we all know that the people at the Sierra Library are amazing and are helpful. I'm not getting paid to say this, I just love this library so much. And now we're going to do the same costume code, where it starts with the first costume and switches to the second costume. Ready? I want to read Harry Potter. Okay, what is your Hogwarts house? Hufflepuff. I have it right here. Perfect. And now you can change them back and it'll look like the dragon is handing over the book. Now the unicorn will say thank you. Because this polite unicorn won't be like, oh, I am taking off with this book and never looking back. No, this unicorn will be a nice unicorn. So in the end it'll say, I want to read Harry Potter. Okay, what is your Hogwarts house? Hufflepuff. I have it right here. Thank you. And there you go. You have a full-on skit. Oh my gosh. But if you look at what I did here, you don't have to copy it. You could make it about anything. When I was in lower school, I really liked Percy Jackson. Look into this Greek mythology. Or you could pull in a random character and say, hi, my name is, and just pretend it's someone from your favorite story. And you can put together whatever story you want. Feel free to share with me your stories. These skits give you a lot of freedom, but let's say you want to go even farther. Let's say after the unicorn leaves, she will go and run through a forest. So, once this whole part is done, once flag is clicked, and she is done saying thank you for 2 seconds, she can also do something called a broadcast. This is like a function. A function in other major coding languages like Java or JavaScript or Python are called, and they have a very specific individual purpose that they accomplish regardless of whatever else is going on. It's just one part of a larger piece of code. And under events, you can do something called a broadcast, and broadcast is very similar to a function in other languages. You can make the message outside, and this broadcast will act like another flag has been clicked after the first one, but it'll happen automatically. So when you receive outside, you can have something entirely else happen. We want her to start running. So, how do we do this? First, we need to make everything else go away. This can be done with a simple hide. You can also drag and drop code into another sprite so you don't have to keep writing it over and over again. You need to see that again? I clicked and held it, dragged it over, waited for the little wobble from my sprite, and then released it. And now, it will hide. This also can apply to backdrops, but we don't want the backdrop to hide, no. Instead, let's just switch it to forest. It may be easiest to use an identical unicorn with a better costume selection, so she will also hide. This unicorn, want her to start, let's say, here, at -100, -35. Let's have her move 10 steps and go to the next costume. And wait 0.05 seconds. The next costume will make it look like the unicorn is running because she will shift through the different frames of motion. And it will make it look like she's running. And moving will make her actually move. One last thing. Remember that Cody wrote a little earlier? When touching the edge, go back to where she started. And again, make sure she's not touching the left edge because she will run to the right edge and appear here. If she spawns and she's still touching an edge, she'll just flicker back and forth and it won't be good. So remember, make sure that tail is clear of the side. Also, don't make her too far up or down because the top and the bottom are also edges. Let's make them all show when they appear. Show the unicorn. One flag is clicked. Show the librarian and show our library. Ready? I want to read Harry Potter. Okay, what is your Hogwarts house? Hufflepuff. I have it right here. Thank you. And now she's running forever. And you can see that she's running pretty steadily. And remember that this can be anything. I personally love fantasy. But if you want to make something like science fiction or just mystery, you can do any of those. You can set it in space with a space hedgehog. Hedgehog in a spacesuit. You can do the exact same thing. You can have it say, I am in space. And you can create a whole story of a hedgehog in space, just like we created a story with a unicorn and a dragon at the Sierra Madre Library. You can even say, I play Minecraft in space. Anything is possible with the power of coding. So enjoy, have fun. If you need help, feel free to contact me, and we'll see what we can do to make your skit the best it can be. Important things to go over, remember to go through background changes, coordinate your waits and your speaks. If you say, I want to read Harry Potter, but you want to give your viewer a little more time to read, you can change it to 3 seconds as long as you change the wait to 3 seconds too. It's a lot, I know, but it's worth it. And feel free to go through your visual effects. You can have a magical rainbow unicorn. Yes, you can also make a terrifying unicorn army. There's too many! It's become a rainbow mess. And remember that if you're signed into Scratch, you can save these projects. Send any questions to sierramadrecoding@gmail.com.